Hey everybody, this is Antula Katsumatidis and you're listening to Color Your Life on Cosmos FM 91.5 WNYE. Please stay tuned. We have a very wonderful program tonight. I'm delighted to have a wonderful guest this evening who is an actress, a teacher, a playwright, and a children's book writer. She'll be right back with me if you stay tuned after a few short community announcements. This is Color Your Life with Antula Katsumatidis. Hey everybody, we're back. This is Antula. You're listening to Color Your Life on Cosmos FM 91.5 WNYE, streaming live at www.gaepis.org. Thanks so much for tuning in. I am back from summer vacation. Some of you may know from my Facebook posts that I was in Greece and I had a wonderful time. And I think that Anna, our wonderful Anna Iliopoulos, probably played a couple of repeats for me. So I thank her for that. And I hope that you enjoyed those shows. I'm sure she picked really fun ones. But now I'm back and I'm here to stay for a while. And I am so excited about my guest this evening. She is a wonderful artist, an incredibly passionate and efficient human being, which is the part of her that I love the most. She is a friend of another fellow artist whom I love dearly. She's a cousin of that person, and I've had the good fortune to have worked with her in the past, and I'm so excited to have her with us this evening. Her name is Chris Lundberg. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks, Antula.
Yay.
So great to be here.
I'm so excited
that you're here. Fabulous studio.
I know. Cosmos FM studio is pretty cool, folks. If you haven't been here, you need to visit us.
Pretty rockin'.
Yeah. So I just want to give everybody, Chris, an introduction to who you are, just a brief bio summary, so people get an idea, and we'll probably repeat it in the course of the program. But Chris has actually spent the past 13 years advocating progressive women's rights of female performers and the educational advancement for children, which is wonderful. So you deal with chicks and children.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it because I'm a chick and a child all in one.
I think we all are.
I know, we really do. We still have art.
Yeah.
She is the founder and artistic director of the Shakespeare's sister company. Love that title.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about that. That's an all-female nonprofit dedicated to empowering women through education and performance. So we're going to talk about Shakespeare's sister company. Mm-hmm. We're also going to talk about the fact that she is an actor, a teacher, a playwright, and a children's book writer. So we're going to talk about this book that I feel like is out and about. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that. She also mentors students from Columbia University with an interest in women's studies and the theater, as well as female emerging playwrights in Shakespeare's Sisters Wolf series program. Mm-hmm. I love that. Catchy.
We'll talk about that too.
Uh-huh. And she's going to talk to us today specifically about her upcoming production of Romeo and Juliet, which I'm curious because I would imagine that it's not your typical Romeo and Juliet.
No.
Can't wait to hear about that. And her faith-based children's book series.
Yeah.
Cool. My God, we have a lot to talk about. We only have a short time to talk about it. So stay tuned, folks, because this is going to be a chock full of information program. Chris, before we get started, I want to know what the Greek component is. Yeah. I know that you speak like a bunch of different languages, I think.
Actually,
or
You
don't. You're just from a bunch of different places.
Thanks for that. No,
but you're like half Greek. I want to know what that component is.
Yeah, totally. So I'm half Greek and a quarter Swedish and a quarter English, Irish, Scottish. So there's like a whole mutt mix in there, which is like fantastic. And yeah, I wish I spoke one of those languages, but I didn't. I don't.
We can teach you right here in Astoria.
Awesome. I know Tikanis.
Very good.
I know Parakalo.
Very good.
Okay, so I'm doing good in the Greek community. This is great. So what else? I don't know.
Efraristo.
Oh, I know Efraristo. I know Kala. Kala, right?
Kala, yeah.
I think that's it.
And ladies and gentlemen, I just have to mention that prior to beginning our program, she walked into the studio and she said, I just bumped into my second cousin.
I did. It was so cool. Astoria is really like, it's a lot smaller than you think it is, but yeah, it's ginormous.
It is. So where are your grandparents from? Your great-grandparents?
Yeah, so my great-grandfather he was from Karpathos.
Yes, Karpathos, which is part of the Dodecanese. It's a part of a group of 12 islands, and I am from one of those islands. So we're totally
related.
Oh,
I knew this was meant to be.
I know.
And
so he's from Karpathos.
And then my great grandmother is from Mytilene, also known as Lesbos.
Yes, I see the connection.
It's kind of funny with the Shakespeare Sister Company, so I think it's fantastic. But,
it is fantastic.
Yeah.
And when did your great grandpa? Did they ever make it to the U.S.?
Yeah. They in the 1920s they came over.
With the whole immigrant wave at the time.
With the whole immigrant wave, yeah. They came over 1920s, and crazy story. My great grandfather went through Ellis Island, and I'm not sure if I get this name, so you'll have to correct me if I get the name wrong. But the Greek name for William is
Vasilis.
Vasilius, yeah.
Vasilios, yeah.
So his name was Vasilius Moreau. And he walked through security, and and they just said, "Oh, okay, so William Morris."
Oh my God! So he was
it.
Vasilios Moru,
Yeah.
Moru,
Yep.
which is like the word for baby. Believe it or not, I wonder how he got that name, Moru.
Yeah.
And they made him William Morris.
Yeah,
no relationship.
Not the agency.
Okay.
That would have been like a wonderful, discovery. But this great grandfather was pretty darn cool too. So I'm okay with that.
Okay, so now we know how Greek you are. Actually, before we get started, we have to give a shout out to your aunt, Elise Morris.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She actually has a birthday coming up.
I know.
Very soon. Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Happy birthday on the
Happy
air.
birthday, Auntie.
Auntie Elise.
Mm-hmm.
Erifili is her name in Greek, which I absolutely love. She's got a beautiful name.
You know everything.
I do.
Really
Not
do.
really, but I pretend to. So we want to talk about the Shakespeare Sisters Company and its mission and why you started it and what's it all about.
Yeah. It's my baby. I started it in 2008, so we're kind of going into our 5th season. And I started it because I was meeting all these amazing actresses, and there's not enough roles for women out there.
So true.
In the theater and in film. It's just not, and it's not getting much better. But and B, these women that are going out for any of these roles that are written, they're not getting cast, and they're amazing and fantastic. And there's really no reason why they shouldn't be acting. So I wanted to create a company where they could have a forum and do a whole take on these either Shakespeare plays. He's kind of the only person that we
focus on.
So Shakespeare's the only boy that we let come play kind of in our treehouse. But
he was a cool boy, so
he's
it's okay.
kind of a cool dude.
Yeah.
And
he wrote wonderful roles for women.
Yeah,
and
he
really
did. I mean, Juliet is one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like one of the greatest and most complicated roles that you have to play. But the kind of the concept that would come with the company is that all the roles are played by women. So if you take one of Shakespeare's plays, Romeo, Mercutio, those are all, they're played by women, but it's these women that are taking these roles and looking at kind of the masculine and feminine of what these characters are, and coming out with a very organic approach to the story.
Oh, I love that.
So, yeah.
I really do. I love that.
Yeah.
And so it's really a woman actress who is using both of her own feminine and masculine skills and traits and bringing it to this character.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. And we'd also focus on new women playwrights and on, established women playwrights, because I'm trying to get them out there as well. So,
and these are specifically playwrights that you find at Columbia University, or is this
no
kind of
Columbia is where I found amazing interns over the last few years that just like come and help and do fantastic projects.
That's great.
One has completely redesigned the website. It's amazing. It's
and
like,
what a perfect segue. What is that website?
It's www.shakespearessister.org.
So it's a double S at the end of Shakespeare and the beginning of sister.
Exactly.
Shakespearessister.org.
Yeah. And we also have a Twitter, which is
I love it.
at ShakesSis. Again, those two S's.
So it's ShakeEssis.
Exactly. And that's on Twitter too. So, and I have a Twitter also for a children's book series, which we'll talk more about at some point.
Okay. So it's shakespearessister.org. Go to the website. It's a great website, actually. They did a really good job redesigning
it's nice,
it.
Right?
It is. It's really nice.
I'm really happy with that.
I might have to touch base with you about that later. And I love the fact that you tell me that Virginia Woolf is your patron saint.
Oh, she's amazing. She's so transcendent, right?
So love that.
I found, again, this is another beautiful network of women and men too that I've met that just love Virginia, because she's over the many centuries has transcended into somebody that people really relate to, and she was such a literary, theatrical, and political pioneer.
Yeah, she really was.
She was amazing, and many people don't know. In addition to her books and her essays, she wrote plays.
Yeah, people don't know that.
They don't,
unless you're an actor.
Really, yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
That's true. So she was and she's such a powerhouse and such a force. And so I actually came up with the name Shakespeare Sister.
Wolf series.
And the Wolf series too. But the name of the company, Shakespeare Sister, I came up with in the shower one day. It was between that and the Golden Lasso Theater Company, and I was like, no one's going to give me money. It was the Golden Lasso Company.
Is that like a Texas?
I was Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's Golden Lasso, the Lasso of Truth. I was like, ooh, that would be cool, but no.
I love Shakespeare Sister. That's
I do
great.
too. It kind of hooked me. So I was really proud of myself for that. But it's something that really resonates with me, and I really wanted Virginia to be a part of it. So she's kind of our patron saint. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So you do her plays as well?
There are a few plays that she's written as well. We actually, our very first season in 2008 on her birthday, which is January 28th, which is also my grandmother, my yaya's birthday.
Really?
Yeah, they have the same birthday.
See how all this comes together. It all comes together.
Yeah. And we produced a play by Edna O'Brien, the late and great, wonderful Irish playwright, who wrote a very extensive play called Virginia. And we produced that at the Arthur Seeland Theater here in the city.
So that was your first season, 2008?
Yeah.
9, 10, 11, 12. So this is your 5th season?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So have you produced, do you play, how does it work? Does Shakespeare Sister produce one play a season? Depending on your funding?
Yeah, exactly. It goes, it depending on the funding. But so we've been very lucky with the seasons that we have been able to produce. And we usually try and associate them with the theme. So like, I think it was 2 years ago, we produced Teresa Rebeck's play Sunday on the Rocks.
Love Teresa Rebeck.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Producer of Smash, or writer of Smash, in addition to many other things.
And so many actors' female monologues. I got it.
Oh my gosh.
All my monologues are Teresa's. It's amazing.
Oh, she's amazing. And
so what was the theme last year?
Yeah, it was Sunday on the Rocks. It was presented in October in anticipation of Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Nice.
It was a very different look at domestic violence because a guy doesn't step on the stage at all. It's the violence that the women had. It was these 4 women roommates and the violence that they inflicted on themselves and that they inflicted on each other and that we do as women. It was really, really interesting, and people seem to really like the take that we did and what we did with it. So
that's great because you're sending a message as well.
Sure.
As, entertaining the masses.
Yeah.
And when I say masses, how do you go about selling tickets to your plays? Is it on your website or does the theater take care of that?
Yeah, it's on the website, and we have a link that when that goes live, people can definitely purchase tickets. They can also come to the box office and get tickets there.
Yay! In which case, this is the perfect segue to talk about what you're doing in season 5.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm assuming it's a Romeo and Juliet.
It's our all.
Can I play Romeo? I would love to play Romeo. Just kidding.
I'll send you the casting.
Oh my God. Wait, and actually the question before we talk about this year's performance, is it contemporary Shakespeare or is it in Shakespearean speak?
Yeah, well, it you know what? It's an all-female Romeo and Juliet that's set in the 1920s Prohibition era. It's the Italians versus the Irish, and it's a very modern take. And it's speakeasy, so it's chicks with guns. It's
no, but I mean the language is not the British English. It's not Shakespeare, or it is.
No, but
is it a rewritten?
It's modern. It's modern.
Okay.
I don't think. I think people get trapped a lot of times in Shakespearean speak, where they get caught up in the poetry and then you don't know what they're saying.
Right.
There's too many productions I've seen like that, and I just walk out going, "Why?"
So you use a specific version, some new playwright. Who wrote this Romeo and Juliet that you'll be performing?
This is William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay. And is there
it's a modern take.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's set in the 1920s Chicago. And it's the Italians versus the Irish, where
gang rivalries.
With gang rivalries, yeah.
Okay, and where is it happening?
Well, that's something that we're.
Are you still working on your?
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't know when it's being performed yet.
We're looking at June of 2014.
Okay.
That's the
goal.
That's the goal.
And in order to do this, have you launched an Indiegogo campaign?
Yeah, we have. Gosh, you're just like, you're thinking of everything.
Well, I mean, 'tis the way to do things, nowadays. It seems everything is Kickstarter, Indiegogo, crowdfunding, and it works. It really does. I mean, every single time, and I shouldn't say this on the air, but every time I get hit up with an Indiegogo campaign, I almost have to give all the time because it's $10. It's not a lot of money. It's so easy.
Or even $1. I mean, it's really, it's no money, but whatever.
I know
it's one of those things.
500 people gave $1, right? I mean, it's very simple.
I mean, it's kind of the way of how things work, but because grants are even, Shakespeare Sister Company is a nonprofit, and we have gotten grants. That's one of the things that we're very proud of over the years. In fact,
tell me, have you gotten grants? And you got some kind of an award too, right?
Yeah, different? When we started the company in 2008, I really wanted to launch into the education and outreach component. That's always a big part of my heart. So I actually went into the women's shelters and spent a lot of time there doing, I called it an arts outreach program.
That's amazing. Okay.
And it was amazing because every single woman that was in there, 90% of women that are in the shelters are battered. And, it's not like they're lying around not doing anything. Right. They're actually really engaged and trying to move on with their lives. Right. And it's just, for lack of better words, a hiccup of where they've been. So I kind of come in as little sister and kind of did this program with them. And
that's great.
Yeah, it was amazing. And every single woman that took my program, they either walked out with a job or also a house. It was a job development program where in like 5 days I gave them kind of the confidence and the skills through theater skills
to do better at interviews per se. Wow.
Well, yeah. So they would start by boosting their confidence, and also through theater skills that I've learned over the years. We would do exercises to learn what their focus is and their forte is and what they want to do with their lives. And they would have housing interviews, and they get prepped for them. And then would take what they learned. And
so they did a bit of self-exploration with you, and then a bit of rehearsals, if you will.
Yeah, like mock interviews in a way is what they kind of call it. But I have a 100% success rate with that program. And I also did it with lupus patients at one point because...
Why?
Well, lupus have a hard time actually telling their doctors what they need and what they want to do. And it's heartbreaking because a lot of these doctors go to their families without going to the patients and talking about what they need to have done. So, lupus those folks need to be able to communicate exactly what they need. And so this program was amazing. I mean, at the end of it, these women actually wrote a story about what it means to be a strong and confident woman. Wow. And I posted it on, I think, the website. It was really just humbling and just wonderful.
Well, it's really wonderful. What an incredible component. It feels like it's primary component because it's so incredibly impactful. You're impacting women's lives in such a wonderful way. Wow. Yeah. I love that.
Oh, they're all like my sisters. I mean, they're so amazing. I had one lady in the shelter who she took my workshop for like 2 days, and then the third day that evening she came in, she's like, "You're not going to believe what happened." And she had been battered. She was in the shelter for a while. And apparently she got a call earlier that day that she had a housing interview. So she rushed over to the housing interview. And before she left, they offered her house. And she came to me that night, and I asked her, I said, "Well, is this, from stuff that you've learned or things you've learned in our workshop?" And she said, "No, it's everything I've learned here." And I was
amazing.
And then on top of that, she came and spoke at my next workshop I had at the shelter the next time around.
Oh, that's great.
She's a nurse. She's pursuing her dream of being a nurse. She's back in school. Oh my God, so she really
made you feel so wonderful.
Yeah, it was really great. So I'm really happy that the program has kind of been focused in that direction.
Good for you, Chris. Hey, you know what? I want to talk more about this, and I want to talk more about your upcoming production of Romeo and Juliet and your Indiegogo campaign, but we're going to take a short break.
Cool.
We're talking to Chris Lundberg. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Thanks for staying with us. This is Antula Katsimatidis. You're listening to Color Your Life on Cosmos FM. I am here with Chris Lundberg, who is a founder and artistic director of the Shakespeare's Sister Company, which is an all-female nonprofit dedicated to empowering women through education and performance. And we were in the middle of talking about all the wonderful things that she does, just as an aside, as a secondary component of her company. She's very interested in mentoring women and helping women, as well as female emerging playwrights. And I wanted to talk about, make sure that we talked enough about the upcoming production of Romeo and Juliet, which she will be working on in the spring. But in order to do that, I think she's got an Indiegogo campaign running. I think that's already been launched. So I'd love to just send people to that campaign, and people can do as they wish, because I'm sure you've inspired some folks during this interview. And then I want to talk about your Wolf series. So tell us a little bit about the Indiegogo campaign and where we can go to.
And you're right. It has launched, which is great. And there's a lovely little video we put together about kind of who we are, what we do. And I really put together a detailed list of kind of, what you're getting out of it. So I hope you all go there and check us out.
So they just go to Indiegogo and then they search for Romeo and Juliet, or do they search for Shakespeare's Sister Company?
They can search for Shakespeare's Sister Company. They can also go to my website, or they can go to which is the www.shakespearessister.org.
I love it.
And or Twitter at ShakesSis, and that the links, they're everywhere. So
awesome.
I will make sure you're fully all informed. Or find me on Facebook, and I will be happy to send you the link. So,
and that's Chris with a KRIS.
Yeah.
LUNDBERG.
You'll see lots of other random things on there too.
Well, before we talk about the Wolf series, do you want to talk about the production concept of Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah. Well, our season 5 kind of our goals they're primarily for Romeo and Juliet, because that's our big budget, right?
Okay.
That's
your big budget item. Yeah.
That's the bulk of the budget. Yeah. But we also have, Antola had mentioned, we have our second season of our Wolf series, which is a playwriting and performance series where we take vetted playwrights out of the city for a few days at a gorgeous retreat. And
it's a retreat.
Yeah. And
I want to be a playwright. Okay.
That's amazing. And we work on a new play there, and then and they come up with short plays, and then we bring them back to the city. And then one evening we're going to produce an evening of short plays by emerging women writers. So
you're going to do a reading series, sort of like, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's our second season. We had our first one last year, which was really well attended. So I'm really hoping that to get some really great playwrights again this year.
And you mentioned a featured guest speaker. Is that at the retreat?
They will be at the retreat, and right now they're a bit top secret. So I'm going to make the announcement soon.
All right. And do you pick these emerging playwrights, or do they apply? Or
well, they apply, and we work through things together to make sure that this is the right fit for them.
And how do they apply, in case we have some emerging female playwrights listening?
They go to www.shakespearessister.org, and they look under the Wolf series season 2, and there's an application form there as well.
Great. And what is your final goal in the Indiegogo campaign?
Well, because we are an education and performance-based company, the education component, which is a huge part of my heart, is very, very big. So we have our storytelling superstars program.
What is that? Storytelling Saturdays.
It's my little ones. I've been teaching the last several years. I'm a teacher as well, and I've been teaching through Shakespeare's Sister my 3 to 9-year-olds. Storytelling.
Great.
Yeah. And it's amazing. And the parents love it. It's just such a wonderful hour where we come and play and think outside the box. And that's just such an amazing age for me, because I have a 4-year-old brain, so they totally understand me. And as soon as they start to ask questions, I get really scared. So the 4-year-olds are amazing. I love teaching them. So that's kind of my treat too, is having them around so we can all play for an hour. And mom and dads can go have brunch and come back. And
that's great.
they've had babysitting, so it's awesome. And I also have like a nationwide educational campaign program where we programs to go into the colleges and high schools and, teaching all sorts of things related to our upcoming, show, as well as playwriting and acting. And, I've been teaching for a long time. So it's
second nature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of those
great.
programs. Yeah.
Well, I love that you're able to combine all of your interests, and you're empowering women, you're helping young people, and you're also doing it A, from the heart, and B, you're doing that which you love. So it's pretty incredible. And speaking about educating young people, you also, are you a writer?
I am. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I wrote a children's book. Well, I'm a playwright, but the one thing I really wanted to talk about was this children's book that I wrote. Yeah. And being a teacher, it's something that I've learned over the years, where I wanted to create this book series that is based on faith. So it's a child growing up with faith. Okay. And it teaches them about that. For 10 years, I had a bunny rabbit that was kind of my heartbeat. And he was amazing. And guess who's the star of the story?
The bunny rabbit. What was his name?
His name was Snickers. He actually passed away a year ago last week. So sending
Oh, my God. A real bunny rabbit. You're not talking about a stuffed animal.
Oh, no. I'm not crazy.
I just thought as a kid you had a bunny rabbit.
Oh, no.
Oh, this is recent. Yeah. This is a real bunny.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You're like, why did I bring this crazy person into my studio?
Well, hey, you know what? An animal is an animal. I have a dog, and I am obsessed with my dog.
Oh, so, I know. I've met your dog.
Yeah.
He's awesome. So Snickers was amazing. For 10 years, he was fantastic and wonderful. And we actually rediscovered our faith in Christianity kind of together. And he's wonderful. And like I said, he passed away a year ago last week.
Okay. Sorry.
So thank you. No, he was amazing. But I wanted to write a children's book series that was in dedication to him, but also in dedication to children growing up with Christ, because it's something that's not
prevalent in today's society.
Well, that, and I think a lot of people don't know how to have that conversation, especially with a child that young.
Right.
So
I know most parents are like, oh, he'll get older and figure it out on his own.
I guess so. Or they just, they just are afraid to kind of have some of those conversations and have those questions asked.
Unlike growing up in a Greek household where, like it or not, you went to Sunday school. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I grew up with Christ in my house, in my life, every Sunday. I mean, it was just part of who we are.
Yeah. And faith is such a huge part in my life. I mean, I taught Sunday school for a while, and it's something that really resonates with me and my relationship with God. And so I wanted to write this series that talks to parents about, or not talks to them, but that is a story that is where children can learn about a mama bunny and a baby bunny growing up in their life in Christ. And it's really lovely. I've written the first 4 books of the series.
What? Oh my God.
Yeah.
How long is the series? How many books? Or you don't know yet?
I don't know. I'm going to keep it going,
Right.
But there's kind of 2 parts of it, which I think is cool, because as a teacher and as an actress, I wanted to put a different spin on it. So I one of my dearest friends is an illustrator. So she's going to illustrate the first book for free. Another friend who's actually the director and who created the concept for Romeo and Juliet. She's actually going to direct the book, because what I want to do is actually, once it is in print, is I want to then take it on the road and act it out as a one-woman show in churches and schools and stuff like that.
That's great.
Yeah. So
she's going to direct. Her name is Misty Wills.
Misty Wills. Yeah. She's going to direct the book, and she's also directing Romeo and Juliet, which is her baby, her concept. Which we have been wanting to do for a long time.
Oh, I can't wait to see this. Yeah. I can't wait to see this.
So the book is...
the book.
Yeah, it's... so I'm looking
What's the title of the book?
Well, I can't release that just yet because it's not in copyright, but...
it has to do with the bunny.
It's about a mama bunny and a baby bunny growing up in their life in Christ. And it's amazing. It's wonderful, and it's heartwarming, and I think people are really going to dig it. And like I said, I'm going to act it out as a one-woman show.
That's
I'll
awesome.
play the mama bunny and the baby bunny, and people get to meet me. They'll get to meet me, and they can talk to me about kind of what their child's going through, and or ask questions. So I wanted to create a forum where people can start having conversations, where they can sit around with their child around the dining room table and just talk about faith and their love of it. So that was that's another.
That's wonderful. Yeah. I love it. And is there an Indiegogo campaign for this as well?
There is, yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So we're raising money for that because there is, the bulk of the cost is really in the printing because we're self-publishing it. Right. So, like we have the director, we've got the illustrator. I actually have a buddy of mine that's a professional costume designer too, and he's designing the costume. It's like all these people are just throwing in their time and talents because they really believe in this project.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And like I said, the books have been written. So now we just have to publish it. And that's the bulk of the cost. And the second part will be marketing.
The printing and marketing it.
Yeah. Which is also a lot of, a lot of dough. So we're raising money for that. But like I said, it's something that I think a lot of people are really going to get behind. Indiegogo, what they can do is the main character's name is Sniffy McSnifferson.
Hence your Twitter handle.
Yeah.
I see.
And the Twitter handle name is McSnifferson, which sounds like he has a cold.
We need to spell this out, folks.
Yeah.
So it's S for Sniffy.
Yeah.
Right. And then McSnifferson. So it's MC and then Snifferson. SMC Snifferson. SNIFFERSON. I love it.
Yeah, Smicksnifferson.
Smicksnifferson.
So you can find us on Twitter. And we'll put both links to both Indiegogo campaigns if you would like to join. Please feel free, and love to have you as a part of this whole process.
Wow, Chris, you're doing a lot. You had a busy summer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's stuff that we love to do. I mean, this is art, this is writing, this is what we do.
I know, it's what you're passionate about. And someone said to me the other day, well, he's an artist and he's creating art. How can life get any better? And it's true. If you're an artist and you're creating art, then that's all we really care about.
Well, yeah, and this is also
giving more to the society at large,
right? And involving community and family and values and education. And so it's going beyond the performance. I mean, it is producing professional theater from a historical standpoint of the 1920s. With an all-female spin, but it's just also really talking about how we involve each other in a community. I mean, our version during the Prohibition period is around the time of the Great Depression, so it is a strong parallel to what's happening still in our economy today.
Oh, yeah. Desperate people taking desperate measures.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's so that's a big component, and then just involving the community. With having conversations, and then taking this even to a further step with educationally, with being able to have even further discussions on who we are, what we do, and where we want to go.
Right. And, it's such added value. It's not something that it's so selfless.
Yeah.
Most people consider artists to be selfish. And I beg to differ, because when you can involve a community, when you can involve children, when you can involve those less fortunate and really give them something, even if that something is a sense of hope or, an education, I think that you are doing really sort of God's work. So kudos to you,
Thank
Chris.
you.
I think this is great. I'm so glad to have had you on the show. Anna is giving me the 2-minute signal. And so I just want to remind everyone that you can hear more about Chris and her Shakespeare's Sister company by going to shakespearesister.org and following her on Twitter at ShakesSis. And go on GoDaddy on Indiegogo and check out, her campaigns. And if you can, give a little, give a lot, or give what you want. It's fine. I know I will. Is there anything you want to share with our audience before we go?
I just thank you so much for having me on. I think this is just a really very generous effort, and thank you, Anna, for everything as well. Very sweet, and thank you to everybody that for listening. And if you have any questions, you can also you can email me. I'm happy to to email you back as well. So
definitely, and you can always email the station too at cosmosfm@gaiepis.org if you have any questions, and I'll forward them to Chris.